Morning, guys. Happy Saturday. So, standing out here in the rain on Friday afternoon, and kind of wanted to give you all a start for what you're going to need to be doing here real quick, because I know a lot of people have questions about this and all for your gardens. Okay, and I just finished shoveling in another 1.5 tons of compost into my last garden, so I am now finally ready to plant potatoes and corn and everything that'll go in there here probably, or at least the potatoes will go in the next couple of weeks. But what I wanted to talk about today, and kind of what I was talking about yesterday, is how to reuse stuff. Okay, and for preppers and homesteaders and everything like that, composting is something that we all need to do. And you guys gotta bear with me because I'm getting wet standing out here, but it's kind of hard to talk about compost if I'm not outside. So, people have asked many times, how do you do it? Composting is not rocket science, okay? And basically, what you're doing is taking the flora, if you will, and turning it back into soil, okay? You're bringing all those beneficial nutrients and everything like that come from your scraps and turn it into soil that you can use. And I mean, you're trying to create a living soil, not dirt, but soil. Okay. So I do this now. Here it is, the middle of March, because at least down south, not me yet, but we're going to eventually get to the point of mowing the lawn. All right. And grass clippings are one of the greatest things that you can use for compost. It's a green. Okay. And what your greens are things that are very high in nitrogen. That's what you're looking for. Okay. You're going to mix those with browns. Okay. And browns are things that are very high in carbon. Okay. And best thing that you can use for carbon is dried leaves. Okay, and I've still got a bunch of them all over my yard from the fall. I've raked up a bunch of them and composted some, and so I'm building my compost pile. So I kind of want to show you what the beginning looks like. Obviously it's spring and I used everything, but this is not exactly the prettiest site, but it'll give you an idea of what you can do. All right, so let me flip this over. And so here is what's in the beginnings of my compost pile right now. And it's got, what's in there? Some potatoes that started rotting, some eggshells, there's avocado skins. It's got to be something Mrs. P put in there with the green. It looks like from something of plants or whatever it is. Insides of peppers, whatever it be, onion peels. So, and this is kind of what we do. All right, and I'll show you this here. So we just keep this in the house. And there's potato peels and eggshells and coffee grinds and pieces of carrot and anything. So any of our regular household vegetable waste or waste of the sort goes into the compost pile. Okay. Now, obviously, also cleaning up the yard, and so I have some grasses, decorative grasses that are dead from last year. We just let those do. Those are going to be fine for browns. So you're adding any organic material. Okay, and I'll flip this back over. So literally all I'm going to do is dump this into my pile. Now, the little pile that I have right now is useless. It's not going to compost. To compost efficiently, what you're doing is getting or what you need is a pile that is at least a yard high, a yard wide, and a yard deep. Okay, so 3 by 3 by 3 at least, because what that's going to do is allow the insides to heat up, and it's not what the heat is that is the microbes and everything inside that are breaking everything down, and the gases that they are releasing, that's what the heat is. It's not from sunlight or anything like that. It's from the heat. So you just continue putting all your stuff into the pile and building it up and building it up and building it up. Now, as I get around the yard, and I will be raking up more leaves to put those in. Obviously, all my kitchen scraps are going to be greens. The leaves are going to be browns. But good use for junk mail. Shred your junk mail up, as long as it doesn't have the plastic envelopes or something like that to it, but paper, newspaper, cardboard, anything like that. Great for browns. Greens, like I said, grass clippings, weeds. Just don't get the weeds, to just make sure you get them before they go to seed. But grass clippings, weeds, your kitchen waste, anything like that is great for your compost pile. Now, once you get everything piled up, it's not just set it and forget it. You've got to keep the pile somewhat moist, okay? And rule of thumb is when you grab the dirt, or the soil, it feels like a wrung out sponge. This is not clean. You're going to get dirty doing this, okay? Using vegetable scraps and grass clippings isn't fun. But if you think about this, if you've ever bagged your grass clippings, and a couple of days later you want to get rid of them, you take them out to the curb for the trash or whatever, and that bag is hot, that's what it's doing. It's composting inside, okay? It's not going to be super efficient because it needs carbon, but that's what it's doing. It's composting already. So great use for any of your yard waste. And we all know that anything isn't cheap anymore, but if you can make your own compost, you now know what's in it. I've mentioned in a video a while back that straw and hay and stuff that you purchase may not be good for your compost because there's a herbicide that's been sprayed on by a lot of farmers on their fields to kill the weeds and just let the hay grow. It's called Grazon, and that's the brand name. There's a couple other ones too. I don't know what the chemical name is off the top of my head, but that does not compost out. So literally, if you're using that store-bought stuff, you could be killing your garden altogether, because if it's got any of that herbicide in it, you're not going to grow anything. So composting yourself, you know what all the ingredients are. All right, I know where the eggshells came from. I know where the carrot peels and the potato peels and everything came from. I know where the rotten potatoes came from. They came from here. All right. The grasses I just threw in, those were grown in my yard. There weren't any herbicides put on there. The leaves that I can gather from, God knows how many trees around here. So, certainly going to be able to use those. So use the resources that you have available to you. I know a lot of people know what to do here, but I've had a bunch of questions on how to do this. So once you get your pile all built up, keep it warm. You'll have to go out about every week, get a pitchfork, and turn it. You want to bring that stuff that's on the inside that's decomposing, get it on the outside, get the stuff in the middle. Basically, like I said, you're just turning it, okay, to get it completely composted. You can buy one of those compost buckets. You can use the 3-bay deal that people build out of pallets. Those work great, no problem, depending on the space. For me, I just put everything in a pile in the backyard and it works fine, okay? It's a lot easier for me to turn it too, because then I don't need to take everything out of a pile or take everything out of a wire basket or anything of the sort. So composting's not that difficult. There's a ton of resources online that you can look and see how to do it, but don't get yourself caught up with you've got to have 50% green and 50% brown, or 40% brown and 60% green. Just keep throwing the stuff in there. You'll do fine, okay? Just as long as you've got some of each. Like I said, eventually you could compost out all grass clippings. It would work. Leaves, no. The browns, no, that won't happen. It needs the nitrogen to break down. But, as long as you've got moisture, browns and greens in there, it'll work. And you'll make yourself some great soil for your gardens. So I thought I'd give you a simple one today as I'm standing out here, and I hope this video comes out great, because my face is covered here my phone is covered here in raindrops. But thought I'd just give you an easy one for Saturday morning, and it's about time to get started doing yard cleanup and everything for spring. So rather than throw it all in the dump, use it for soil. Have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.